Dan, I bet the players wish they had a midweek game. How much are you looking forward to Saturday, to getting back on the horse, so to speak?
Yeah, I think obviously after any negative result, the first thing you want to do is like you say, get back on the horse and go again and put things right. However, on the flip side of that, you've then got 4 days of training during the week, obviously then inclusive of a rest day, where you can work on things and perhaps have the time to do a bit of work that you wouldn't ordinarily have the time to if it was a double game week. And that's what we've done. We've used the time to good use, and obviously we are all hoping that will come to the party on Saturday.
Yeah, how beneficial is a week on the training ground? You're aware of the stats. I think it's now 14 games without a clean sheet. Is some time on the training ground a very good opportunity to try and work on that and put it right?
For sure. I mean, that's not good listening for me. As someone that wants to keep the ball out the back of my net. Obviously, there's a proportion of those games that I didn't play, but at the same time, I wanted us to achieve and keep clean sheets and be successful. So yeah, I think obviously with the work that we've done, there's been an emphasis on how we defend as a team and how solid we are as a unit, and making sure that we take the messages that we get given in training into the games. And it might not always be structured in games. In training, obviously, we can control the structure of how things work as a team and as a defensive unit. But in games, it can be different at times, and we need to be ready for the challenges that Birmingham City are going to throw at us, and not just Birmingham. That's every game to come.
And football's a team game, but how much is on the individual going into a game on a Saturday?
I think we're all individuals in a team. I think first and foremost, you have to look after your own game. Get your own house in order, and then if you can affect other people and subsequently be part of a team that's successful, I think that's a recipe for success. But yeah, I think obviously we've all got our roles and our collective roles, and we've all got our individual responsibilities and our team collective responsibilities, and if we all achieve those whilst when one person makes a mistake, the next one covers and he doesn't make a mistake, and we all expect mistakes off each other. I think that's how you help your teammates when they're in a spot of adversity.
And you personally had a good game at Forest. You made some key saves. We spoke after the Middlesbrough game where you said you hated being out of the team. Have you noticed any difference since you have returned? Are you playing any differently, psychologically any different?
Yeah, I think obviously we've tried to play more. We've tried to certainly play through the thirds, from goal kicks, from just kind of recycling the ball on pass backs and things like that. And if we can work through midfield into kind of the final third of the pitch, and whilst we're attacking, I think you've seen how many goals we've scored in the free flowing attacking football that we've played of late. I think that's obviously probably a noticeable difference, and that's something that I'm more than happy with. I mean, obviously I played for Brentford prior to Bristol City, and that was kind of a nothing but football message really. So I'm more than comfortable fulfilling that role from a kind of a quarterback role, if you like, with regards to playing out from the back. So that's certainly something that we touched on a minute ago. That's my responsibility to be able to come into the team and play that role, and that's something that I'm happy to do. I think if we can add to what we've been doing with regards to the attacking play, and we can be a little bit more resolute, a little bit more solid, concede less goals, get more clean sheets, I think you'd be looking at us getting a lot more positive results and being much more of a threat with regards to our league position.
And I was looking at your stats. I think it's probably about 10 years since you were last out of the side, really, or for a sustained period of time. So you're very much used to being the number one goalkeeper. Having experience and time on the bench, how determined are you for that not to happen to you again personally?
Yeah, well, I mean, in terms of my mentality, it didn't really... my mentality hasn't changed. My mentality prior to being left out of the team was I have to go every day in training, every game I play, the way I live my life off the pitch is the way I earn my shirt. And it's and because I've got the captain's armband, it's not a given that I'm going to be in the team every week. I'm fully aware of that, fully understanding of that. I never kind of thought that when I've got the armband, it makes me untouchable by any shape or stretch of the imagination. But certainly, like I've mentioned to you guys in the press over the last couple of weeks, that it gave me some time to invest in myself with regards to stuff in the gym, extra training on the training pitch to work on some technical aspects and technical details. And it gave me a different outlook with regards to when you're seeing things from the side of the pitch and you're not necessarily directly involved with the emotion of being on the pitch. I think you can take the emotion out of it and see things maybe for what they are in a slightly different way. And I think I'm going to be a better person, or I'm a better person, a better goalkeeper for the time I've experienced off the pitch, on the bench. Albeit I hated it, as I've told you guys before. But no, I think that the most important thing is for me to use it as a positive to just increase the hunger I have, which has always been there.
And still a couple of months of the season to go. How determined are the players that it doesn't just fizzle out? You get some momentum, you get those back-to-back wins for the first time this season, and give yourself some confidence going into the summer and next season.
Well, yeah, we're nobody wants to go through the end of the season in kind of an indifferent kind of average vein of form where you've got nothing to play for, and it's all a little bit kind of wishy-washy and pre-season feel. Nobody wants that. We want to be challenging. We want to make sure that we're being as successful as we can be as a club and as a team. We need to do ourselves justice. We need to do justice for the fans with regards to what they expect from us and what we expect from ourselves. So we'll be doing our utmost to improve on what we have been so far this season. And I think if we're all honest, we have seen improvements. I think if you look now compared to the start of the season and the back end of last season, I'll definitely say there is an improvement. Of course, there's still a lot of work to do, but I think there's definitely reasons to be happy with some of the things we've achieved, albeit there are still things that we need to work on, that we now have the last 11 games of the rest of the season to make sure that we go into next season with some momentum. So nobody's thinking about next season by any means, but at the same time, we want to finish as high as possible. And make it at least a positively transitional season.
Always enjoy talking to you. Have a good game on Saturday.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Hi Dan.
Hello mate, how are you?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. You touched upon the challenges that Birmingham are going to pose on Saturday, but what are they specifically as a goalkeeper? You think with their kind of injury crisis in attack, specifically they're going to play Big Djukovic up front, which means they're going to target him aerially. So as a goalkeeper, what are the challenges for you? What sort of game do you expect?
Yeah, well, this isn't my first rodeo against Birmingham. I've played a fair few games against them, so I know what to expect. I've played against Djukovic countless times, so I know what he's all about. I know what his strengths are. So obviously we are all very aware of what his strengths are and what Birmingham will bring. Obviously, it's been well documented that they've had a little bit of a crisis, if you will, with injuries. We are still fully respectful of the quality they have in their squad, regardless of whether they have some of their senior boys out or not. So we'll be preparing, and we have prepared to face their possible strongest 11. I think we'll be expecting a physical game for sure. Obviously, like you say, with Djukovic, that is something he's very, very good at. But make no mistake, they can play as well when they need to. They keep a very high line. They're very aggressive with their press. So those are all things that we have been made aware of, and we are aware of. Obviously, we're all kind of students of the game, and we're all studious of our opposition. We've got access to clips and whatever we need, stats and information at any point in time. So we've all done our due diligence as to what we're going to face, and we will be looking forward to the challenge.
On the whole, Dan, how have you kind of assessed your own performances over the last 3 games?
Yeah, I've been happy. Obviously, the bigger picture is that I'm involved in a team. it's slightly different as a goalkeeper because it is very specific, and a lot of goalkeeping is judged with saves, crosses, and distribution as a kind of a random three. But they're the ones that kind of stick out to people. I've been happy with my individual performances, but I'm very aware that as a team, 2 of the 3 games we certainly not in Forest. We wasn't good enough. I thought Middlesbrough we were very good and probably slightly unlucky to concede late on. And Coventry again, a late goal conceded, which was really disappointing. But at the same time, there were periods of the game where we were very good. I think the start of the second half we started really well. I think the end of the first half as well, we had a little bit of possession where we maybe could have capitalised on that. But I think as an individual, you know, I'm my own worst critic, and obviously there's things that I can certainly work on. Don't for 1 minute ever think I'm the finished article, but certainly there's been things during my performances over the last 3 games that I've been really happy with.
And when that period when you were left out of the team, how easy is it to have kind of an impact on your self-confidence and belief in yourself?
I've always been quite mentally strong, and of course, when you get left out of a team, you ask questions of yourself. That's the first thing I did. Ask questions of myself. I wanted feedback from Pat Mountain, the goalkeeper coach. I wanted feedback from the gaffer. I wanted to understand what more I could do. What wasn't going right. I wanted to understand what the situation was. So for me at the start, getting the information as much as possible was the main thing. And then it was a matter of getting over it very, very quickly, supporting Max in the best way possible, because that's the best thing for the team at that period of time. And you know, as soon as I walked out of the chat I had with the manager, it was getting my shirt back and working my backside off to get it. And whilst also being respectful of Max, which I always have and will be. So you know, it gave me an impetus, if you will, and to have a bit between my teeth and go, you know, I'm gonna work as hard as I can, 24/7, in terms of the way I live my life, what I do in the gym, what I do in the training pitch, extra, to get my shirt back. Because obviously I'm, like Richard said before, I've played my whole career, and that's what drives me. I want to play football. I love being involved in the high pressured moments. Don't want to be a number 2, but I'm aware that in that moment in time I had to treat it as best as possible, and that was, like I mentioned a minute ago, that I made an investment in myself. So it was a matter of how long is it going to be until maybe an injury or a loss of form or whatever the case may be, to get my shirt back. And when I do get it back, I'm going to be ready, and I'm going to have the same drive and determination and desire to keep it.
Was it just a tactical reason to bring Max in? And I asked because I was wondering if there's anything that you specifically focused on in training during the period out the team to try and to work on yourself. Because Pearson said, well, it's just to build up from the back a little bit more. So is that a part of the game that you had to work on specifically?
No, I don't think so. I don't think it's something that I've always been capable of. But I think in terms of how we've played, we've always kind of missed out our defensive third, played into Chris. At times we can play, but we've historically decided that as a team, as a collective, we're gonna go longer, get us up the pitch, cauterise the pitch, and play off second balls. That was the messaging that was clear for me, which is, you know, that's fine. I'll do as I'm told. You know, I'm not ever going to question the manager for sure. And obviously it coincided that around a similar time that we were going to start playing out, and that was something we were going to do more of. Obviously that's something that I'm capable of, and you know, if it's tactical or not, that's the question you'll have to ask the manager. He gave me his reasons. Obviously I'm not going to delve into the conversation I had with him, but it was all very respectful. It was all positive, if you can call it that. There was no issue. There was no. I've seen a few tweets about me breaking rules and all nonsense, manner of nonsense with COVID restrictions and God knows what. Honestly, the mind boggles. But it's there was no issue with my discipline or anything like that. I can comfortably assure you that. But no, it's something that I'm capable of, and I'm sure you've seen over the last couple of games that nothing's changed with the way we play since Max was in goal. Max is capable of it. I'm capable of it. I'm sure the gaffer's really pleased that he's got two goalkeepers that are capable of playing the way he wants to play.
And final one for me, Dan, is kind of your long-term future. Your contract's until 2023. And you spoke at the start of the season how you're very happy in Bristol and you want to stay. I'm assuming that's still the case. So is it kind of down to the club now?
Yeah. I think obviously it's you mentioned there. I think it's very obvious. I've got a year left as of the summer. So we'll see if the club want to keep me, don't they? Or if they want to keep me, well, I'm sure we'll be sat here in a couple of months having a slightly different conversation. If they don't, then we might not be talking. We'll have to wait and see.
Cheers, Dan.
Thank you.
Hey, Dan.
Hello, mate. How are you?
Yeah, good. Thanks. You've I don't want to sort of you've played a lot of games. You've played with a lot of defenders, a lot of different defenders, different systems, different approaches. What do you think makes a good defence?
First and foremost, wanting to get the ball out the back of net. That is a prerequisite for any defender, any goalkeeper, any defensive-minded player, in my opinion. And I think we've got defenders that want to do that. Don't get me wrong. I don't think there's one defender that I would question in our team that I would think, I'm not sure if he's committed. We have full commitment, full honesty, 100%. And I don't think there's any question marks over that. Do we make mistakes as individuals? Yes. Do we make team collective mistakes? Yes. Do we get undone through quality at times? Yes. And that's going to happen. We can't sit here and say that we're going to keep 46 clean sheets across the season because it's never going to happen. On the flip side, we've conceded way too many goals for absolute certain, and there's been not enough clean sheets. I'm under no illusion that that's the truth. So I think in terms of what we need to do, I think it's a little bit of nous at times. It's a little bit of experience, reading situations slightly earlier, slightly better, being a little bit more proactive at times, and that's something that we're actively trying to improve.
When you say proactive, is that specific situations, or is that just in overall sort of mentality? Is there anything you can sort of reference?
I think it's a little bit general. So that's if the ball's on for a very random example, if the ball's in a cutback zone, do we defend the space or do we defend the man? Those are split-second decisions that you need to get right more often than not to not concede goals and to keep clean sheets. If there's a chance that we read a situation and one centre-half may make a mistake or miss a header, is the other centre-half or the fullback on that particular side, is he covering around to look after his mate to make sure that he mops up his mistake? Those are all kind of things that we need to read very quickly and make very quick decisions on with regards to can I help my teammate? Can I bail my teammate out of the mess he might be in? And I think at times we can also as a team we can soak pressure up better as well. We go through times where we soak a hell of a lot of pressure up, but we can in those times we can do things like we can slow the game down. We can be a little bit more nasty to play against, because I think at times we're a little bit too nice. We can be. If we can master the dark arts, if you like, and that may sound very kind of old school, very cliche, but if we can master the dark arts and be really nasty to play against, where strikers and attackers know they're in for a game, and you can affect their mindset with how we set up and how we act, I think that's only going to be beneficial for us.
How do you do that? How do you kind of create that mentality? You go and box in, or what do you?
I think it's
make yourself nasty, if you like.
Yeah, I think it's you just do it. I don't think it's something that you can kind of breed. We've got some nice lads in the dressing room, don't get me wrong. Really nice lads that you probably wouldn't ever expect to stand up and have a fight, if you like. And I mean that in a metaphorical sense, or hypothetical, should I say. But I think in terms of how we stand up, it can be little things. Like if you go and win a header, go and punch it, 50 yards back down the opposition throat, get us up. The way we talk to each other, it can be aggressive. The way we go in for tackles can be more aggressive at times. And I mean that in a sense of controlled aggression, but in terms of discipline, for sure. All those little things that make a big difference in terms of the mentality that you can change the way a game's going with how aggressive you can be defensively. And I think if you go on the flip side, you look at Antoine. If you let Antoine bully you, he will bully you all day long. But if you get up against Antoine and you're going through the back of him with headers and things like that, I'm sure he's not going to be quite as effective as if you kind of let off him and give him the space and time he needs to do the things he's been doing. That's just a very kind of rough, minor example as to how, and I'm sure the gaffer will be able to tell you about being aggressive as a defender, probably better than I can.
Great stuff. Thanks for your time, Dan.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
Hi Dan, I hope you're well.
Hello mate, good, thank you.
Just wanted to ask about your time out of this side, but in your role as club captain, did you still find yourself delivering team talks to the whole team whilst you were out of the side, or did you perhaps let others take that forward when you were outside of the team?
I think it's a mixture of both. Obviously, I was still undertaking my roles as captain off the pitch, whether that be minor things from handing tickets out, conducting meetings on issues as a team that we may need to discuss. Things, just sort of small organisational things that we need, whether it's kind of letting people know changes in report times, whatever the case may be. So there was no kind of reluctancy to undertake my roles as captain just because I wasn't playing. My role as captain is a 24/7 role, and it's one that I'm immensely proud of, as I've made reference to before. In terms of team talks, obviously the captains that were in my absence, who by all accounts did a great job. Matty James, I think, held the armband for a little while. Kingy had it a few games, obviously, until his unfortunate injury, and Andy, I think, had it for probably the most sustained period of time. They all did a great job, and I'm more than happy to allow them to use their knowledge and experience as standing captains, if you will, because the fact is that they were on the pitch, so they probably had more of a better insight than I did at that period of time specifically. But no, it was a mixture of both, and a fine balance between being there as a captain and doing my due diligence as I would always do, which would never change, and also allowing others to step up and be leaders also, because we have a team with quite a few leaders in it.
And just hearing your interview a few weeks back with the BBC after the Middlesbrough game, you're quite supportive of the manager and how he dealt with the aftermath of the Swansea game. Do you think that was perhaps a flashpoint, and perhaps that gave the team a reset, and now they feel there's a bit more positivity around the place, especially with the performance against Middlesbrough and then Coventry, and kind of was a bit derailed by last week's result?
Well, I think, like I said to Richard at the start, I think in terms of the trajectory of our performances, I think you could probably say from the start of the season there's been an upward trajectory. Yes, there's been peaks and troughs within that period of time, and there may have been some real disappointments along the way, which I wouldn't disagree with. But at the same time, I think we could sit here and say we are a better team collectively, and we have a better identity than what we did at the start of the season. So I think in terms of the last three games, I think you can say the Middlesbrough performance was probably the best one of the last three. Coventry, I think in flashes we showed what we could do. We had them under a lot of pressure in the second half, and Forest, I think, was a really poor collective performance, which we're all very, very disappointed with, and we've worked very hard to put that right this week.
And just lastly as well, obviously Max has been the keeper you've been competing with, but also Harvey Wiles-Richards has also been on the bench here and there and saved the penalty in midweek as well. What do you make of him as a goalkeeper as well? Because he's the youngest goalkeeper, but you see many qualities in him as well because you're the most experienced keeper at the club.
Yeah, no, he's got a chance of having a career in a game. And if he continues to work hard, he continues to develop, and his attitude remains good, he's got a chance. I think you guys have seen in the 23 games that he's played, he showed flashes of what he can do. And he's still learning, don't get me wrong, I think he's still 18, is he? Which is, wow, it makes me feel old. 10 years younger than me, which is, I feel young in myself, never mind how young he feels, but he makes me feel old, wow. But no, he's got a chance of having a real good career in the game. So if he keeps his head screwed on, and he keeps developing in the way which I believe he will, then he's got a real chance, and I'll support him as much as I can.